why don't you have what you want in life? Whether it is the money you want, whether it is the man you want, the trip you want, the job you want, the lifestyle that you want. Why don't you have it yet? If this is a question that you want answered, or the question that you are asking yourself over and over and over again, you need to continue to watch this video, because I'm going to share with you one of the main reasons I realized that I don't have the things that I want in my life. So I was having a conversation with my protege, and she was telling me that, she basically came up a little bit in her life, right? And she had gone back to where she went to school for high school, and the people there, for all intensive purposes, are impoverished. Like, they just are really struggling, or they're working really hard to make a bunch of nothing, basically. And so she was feeling really bad about, them not having what she now had. And she also felt like, she remembered the time when she was there, right? And what she said was she gave to them. Like, she gave them basically money, right? And it didn't turn out the way she wanted to. She wanted it to. They ended up talking about her behind her back. They ended up telling, inappropriate things to people she respected. And she was really feeling bad and upset about it. And what I told her was, I was just thinking about as she was talking, and what I told her was, people in poverty are comfortable with getting and receiving money, but they are not comfortable with having money. Just let that simmer. Which is why when they have money, they either spend it fast, they give it away fast, right? If they see other people who have money, they're also uncomfortable with those people having money because they don't have money, right? And they're not comfortable with if they even had money. They lash out about people who have money, and they even envy people who have money, right? Now, I'm not saying it's anything wrong with being in poverty, but I am someone who believes that poverty is a mindset on top of opportunities, right? Because there are plenty of people who have gotten out of poverty with nothing because they changed their mind. But when I was saying that to her, I was telling her, like, be very careful, because you're not that far away from where they were. And so it's very easy for you to slip into the same mindset of being uncomfortable with the having of something, right? And so I chose to think about that within context of what's going on in my life. And this is about the journey, right? These videos are about my journey into becoming a full-time entrepreneur. And what I realized was, as I look back over the last couple of years of me working as a side hustler, the reason why I did not have what I wanted to have in my business was because I was uncomfortable with having what I wanted, right? The actual having of it. Having means like the permanent possession of something, not just a little bit, not here and there, every now and then. Like, having means it's a permanent, like, this is what I had. It's mine, like having it permanently. There's a concept called be, do, have. And basically what it means is, in order to have something, you have to be doing what you need to do to have it, what the people who have it do, right? You need to be doing what the people who have it do. But in order to do what the people who have it do, you have to be who the people are that are doing the thing to have the thing, right? And being comes from a place of mindset. So a lot of times when I talk about travel mindset, I'm like, the reason why I've been to 22 countries, the reason why I take multiple trips a year, the reason why I'm able to have these experiences is because I do the things. I have habits, I have systems, I have, frameworks that I use, that I take into account when I'm creating it. But I also just am a traveler, right? I just believe that about myself. So of course I'm doing the things that people who love to travel and people who travel often do. And of course I have multitude of experiences with travel because I am a traveler and I believe that about myself, right? And so as I'm making this identity shift from a full-time employee to a full-time entrepreneur, what I realized was, in my mind, I am not a full-time entrepreneur. My mind was telling me that I am a full-time employee, even when I was doing the things that an entrepreneur would do, even when I was getting results, right, that a full-time entrepreneur would have. I was still thinking, I'm not that, right? And in some ways, I was uncomfortable with actually having like possession and being in the place of just always being, from now until being a full-time entrepreneur. Not sometimes, not a side hustler, none of that. Like just being it all the time. So an example of this is, I was looking about stages. Like, when was a time when I didn't have something, but I had no problem getting to it. And it made me think about like way back in the day before I had a license, right? If you're somebody who has had a license your whole life, you just do the things that people who have a license have, right? You drive all the time, you have a car, you have car insurance, you have like all of these things, right? But there was a time in your life where you weren't a person who had a license, right? And at that time in your life, you had to believe that you could actually be that person. You had to be very comfortable with having it. Like, you had to actually want it, but then you had to be comfortable with like, yeah, when I get that joint, like, I'm supposed to have that, right? That I'm supposed to have it. So you did the things, you did the classes, you did the what they call the driver's ed, and you eventually had your license and you had it permanently forever, right? Then I was thinking about taking multiple trips a year. I was not always a person who took multiple trips a year. When I was younger, I would travel to like one place in the summer, right? But the reason why I got to being the person who took multiple trips a year is because I really believed that I was supposed to have that, right? I was completely comfortable with being the person who took multiple trips a year and figured it out and made it work. And so I started to do the things that people who take multiple trips a year do. I started automating my travel savings. I started using travel points. I started like leveraging sites differently, right? I started hanging out with a different set of people. And then I started having multiple experiences a year for travel. But when I think about, like, for instance, making the amount of money that I used to make at my job as a full-time entrepreneur, hundreds of thousands of dollars as a full-time entrepreneur, if I think about up until this point, I really was not comfortable with having that. So that's why I didn't have it. I wanted it, but that's not the same as being comfortable with having it. If having something makes you uncomfortable, it's usually because you don't believe you can have it. If you feel uncomfortable with having it, you will subconsciously, this is key, subconsciously, not in your conscious mind, but in your subconscious mind, you will continue to do the things that will keep you from being the person who has it, who has what you want. This is what that looks like. Oh, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. It's no rush to do it today. I can get to it tomorrow. It's okay if I, miss a day. I'm still consistent. If I missed 1 or 2 days, it's all right. Well, I just couldn't eat this thing, once or twice a week. I still want to lose the weight. But I'm just going to, give myself a break every now and then. That's what that looks like. Subconscious, right? Because you don't even realize that what you're consciously doing subconsciously is reaffirming the idea that you can't have because you're uncomfortable with really having. Because the really having requires a completely different action, right? Think about it. I remember Stacey Bayman, who is one of the life coaches I follow, she talked about how when she made like her first $100,000 in her business, like she really had to like pay attention because she felt like she needed to just spend the money, right? Like just seeing $100,000 sitting in her account from a point where she was making that over a course of a year, and to see it in your account in 1 month and you still got mad year left to go. Like, it was just like, this money ain't supposed to be there. And that is why a lot of people don't have what they want in their life, because they're not comfortable with having it. And if they get a glimpse of it, they self-sabotage, right? Or if they get a glimpse of it, they feel bad about having it, and so they give it away. And I realized for me, there was a level of like discomfort with having the power, having the stature, having the access that somebody who was able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars in her business would have. Having the problems that somebody who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars in her business would have. It's the having. So, one of the questions I want to ask you, the same question I asked my protege, was, who are you outsourcing your identity to? And the reason why I asked her that was because there are certain things that you want to believe about yourself based on the things that you want to have, right? So for instance, me, like, I want to be someone who has hundreds of thousands of dollars coming through my business. There are certain things that I want to believe about myself. What are the adjectives, right, that I want to believe I am, that somebody would say about me if I was that person, right? I'm consistent. I work hard. I provide value. I have great testimonials, all of these things, right? But I found myself outsourcing that. I'm an amazing coach. I found myself outsourcing that to external circumstances, right? But what I realized was, the longer I outsourced it to external circumstances, the less I was going to feel comfortable with just having it. And I wasn't going to be able to get it. So what I told her was, like, think of those adjectives. What are the adjectives that you want people to be saying about you? That you want to believe about yourself, but you currently don't believe about yourself? Write them down, right? And stop outsourcing those adjectives to other people and to other circumstances external from you. You have to get comfortable with those adjectives. You have to identify with those adjectives within yourself so that you are confident in them, that you are them, regardless if somebody else validates you or regardless if somebody else disvalidates it, right? I was telling her, I was like, nobody could tell me that I'm not a traveler. Even if I don't travel for the next 5 years, nobody would be able to tell me I'm not a traveler, because I know I am. And I have plenty of evidence of that, right? That's how you get what you want in life. You have to be so firm in the identity of the thing that you want. If you're somebody who wants to travel more often, you have to be so firm in the identity that you are supposed to have that's who you are now. Like, and there's evidence of it even if you haven't gone anywhere, right? There's evidence that you are a traveler based on what you desire to do, based on the things you watch, the things you follow, the people you follow, the things you research, the way it makes you feel. This is all proof, right? Proof, evidence. So the biggest thing I would say for you to do after you determine what those adjectives are find evidence of it every single day. Write down the adjectives, and every day before you go to bed, write down, I am X because of Y, right? I am a travel coach because every day I find a way to serve people and in helping them create the travel experiences they want, including myself. That's why I'm a travel coach, right? So find the things for you. And that's what's going to allow you to get what you want out of life. All right, y'all, that's it. That's all. If you like this video, I know that you are one of my people, so please make sure that you like and subscribe. Drop me a comment and let me know, what are some of the adjectives that you're going to stop outsourcing to other people and that you're just going to believe about yourself, because that's just who you are. Yeah, if you want to see more of me figuring out this life and on this journey, make sure you go follow me on Instagram at International Inez. Make sure you come back here if you want to learn more about how to transform your life through travel. And until we meet again, stay tripping.